Okay, so maybe you've told us a little about your dog, and it sounds like you're dealing with some separation anxiety. You know, that whole "my dog loses their mind when I leave" thing.
Yeah.
Well, we're diving deep into this today
Right.
with an article from Oh My Dog EDU.
Okay.
It's a website all about dog psychology, and our mission today is giving you some actionable strategies, not just for managing an anxious pup, but also for preventing this in the first place.
Right.
Knowledge is power, right?
What's so fascinating about this is how incredibly common separation anxiety is in dogs.
Yeah,
This isn't just some behavioral quirk.
right.
It's really rooted in how dogs are wired.
The article really drives that home.
Right.
It describes dogs like tearing up houses, barking like crazy. I mean, even neighbors getting involved.
Yeah.
You know, picture yourself suddenly alone, cut off from your pack.
Right.
It kind of makes sense that they would freak out a bit, right?
Exactly. That pack mentality is so deeply ingrained in dogs.
Right.
Being alone for long stretches goes against their very nature. But the good news is we're not powerless here.
Right.
The article lays out a blueprint for both prevention and rehabilitation.
So let's start with the why. What makes a dog prone to this anxiety in the first place?
Okay.
The article seems to put a huge emphasis on confidence.
Yeah.
It even breaks down like these 5 rituals: walking discipline, socializing, feeding, and playing.
Uh-huh.
Almost like they're building blocks for a confident dog.
You hit the nail on the head. It's all about structure.
Yeah.
These rituals create a predictable world for your dog,
Right.
mimicking how a pack functions in the wild.
Okay.
A confident dog is a dog who understands their place in the pack, their role, what to expect.
All right.
Without that, anxieties can run wild.
This structured walk thing really caught my eye.
Yeah,
It's not just about getting exercise, is it?
not at all. Think of it as like a moving meditation,
Okay.
but with a lot more discipline involved.
Interesting.
The dog walks beside or slightly behind you, brisk pace, zero distractions.
Okay.
It really establishes your leadership role in that pack dynamic.
I see.
It's fascinating how much psychology goes into a simple walk.
The article even includes a sample schedule.
Right.
And it highlights the level of commitment required.
Mm-hmm.
But they frame it so positively, like you can practically feel the energy shift just reading it.
That's so important. It's
Yeah.
about viewing these rituals as investments in your dog's well-being,
Yeah.
not just chores to check off a list.
So we've got structure in place.
Okay.
But the big question is, how do we actually teach a dog to be alone without falling apart?
Right.
This is where the article gets really interesting. 'Cause
Okay.
it says to stop picking up your puppy every time they're stressed.
Yeah.
That seems so counterintuitive.
It does, right? But the logic is brilliant.
Yeah.
By constantly swooping in to rescue them,
Right.
we prevent them from learning to self-soothe.
Okay.
We're basically fostering dependence, not independence.
So what does that self-soothing look like in a dog? How would I even recognize it?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Self-soothing can manifest in different ways. Maybe they find a quiet spot and lie down.
Yeah.
Maybe they chew on a toy
Yeah.
or simply engage in calm, repetitive behaviors.
Right.
It's essentially their way of regulating their own emotions
Right.
without relying on external intervention.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light here.
Good.
So walk me through this separation training.
Okay.
The article mentions a pretend to leave routine and a 5-second rule.
Right.
It almost sounds like we're playing hide and seek with our pups, but with a purpose.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
start with tiny increments of separation,
Okay.
like pretending to leave the house for a few seconds
Right.
and gradually extend that time.
Okay.
The 5-second rule is a perfect example.
Okay.
Leave for 5 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
return, calmly repeat.
Right.
It's desensitization in action.
Yeah.
But what stands out to you in this approach?
What strikes me is how much it mirrors techniques used for human anxiety.
Okay.
Think about exposure therapy, where you gradually confront your fears.
Yeah.
It's like we're applying those same principles to our furry friends.
That's a brilliant observation.
Okay.
And that's precisely what makes this approach so effective. It
Right.
acknowledges the complexity of a dog's emotional world
Right.
and taps into their innate capacity for learning and adaptation.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the techniques themselves.
You're right. There's more to it.
Yeah.
The article emphasizes consistency and calmness from the owner,
Yes,
which seems crucial.
absolutely. Just like with the structured walks.
Right.
It's about predictability for your dog.
Okay.
But calmness is equally important. Remember, dogs are masters at reading our energy.
Yeah.
If you're anxious about leaving them,
Right.
they'll pick up on that in a heartbeat.
You know, it's funny how this all ties back to our own human experiences.
Sure.
We get anxious when our routines are disrupted, too. right?
Right.
Think about missing your morning coffee or dealing with traffic.
Yeah.
It throws us off balance.
Uh-huh.
Maybe we can learn a thing or two from our dogs about staying calm amidst chaos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes our dogs are the best teachers when it comes to mindfulness and staying present.
Yeah,
But we've been focusing a lot on puppies so far.
right.
What about dogs who are already showing signs of separation anxiety?
Right.
How do we adapt these principles to help them?
That's a great point because not everyone is starting with a brand new puppy.
Right.
A lot of us adopt dogs who've already developed some anxieties.
Yeah.
So it's not always about prevention.
Yeah.
It's about helping them overcome those existing fears.
And the first step is recognizing the signs.
Right.
The article mentions things like destroying furniture, excessive barking, even attempts to escape,
Right.
all classic stress responses.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember they're not being bad dogs.
Right.
They're just overwhelmed.
It makes you realize how much we underestimate the emotional depth of dogs.
Yeah.
They experience stress just like we do,
Oh, sure.
but they don't have the words to tell us what's wrong.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's where observation becomes so important. Once you recognize the signs,
Yeah.
the next step is applying those same principles we discussed for puppies,
Okay.
but with an added layer of patience and understanding.
So structured routines are still key, even for adult dogs.
Absolutely. Creating that predictability,
Right.
that sense of order in their day can be incredibly calming for an anxious dog.
Okay.
Consistent meal times,
Uh-huh.
designated play sessions,
Right.
and of course those structured walks are all essential.
It's about giving them a sense of control, right?
Yeah.
When their world feels predictable,
Yes.
they feel safer, less on edge.
Exactly. That sense of control is especially important for dogs who've already developed separation anxiety.
Right.
It helps them feel less overwhelmed and more confident in their ability to cope when left alone.
But even with the best routines, there will be times when we have to leave them alone.
Of course.
Any tips for managing those moments and preventing a full-blown meltdown?
Definitely. While the article focuses mainly on prevention,
Right.
we can extrapolate some strategies from its principles.
Okay.
First, a good long walk beforehand can do wonders.
Okay.
It helps release pent-up energy and puts them in a more relaxed state.
So they're more likely to settle down and rest when you're gone,
And
rather than
slow.
spiraling into anxiety.
Right. Second, create a safe and comfortable space for them.
Okay.
A crate, a dog bed, or even just a designated corner.
Right.
The key is that it's associated with positive feelings.
Okay.
A place where they can de-stress.
It's their little sanctuary, their safe haven.
Yeah.
I love that.
And third, consider leaving them with a puzzle toy or a long-lasting chew.
Okay.
This keeps them occupied, provides mental stimulation, and redirects their energy away from anxiety.
It's like giving them a healthy distraction, something to focus on other than your absence.
Exactly. And as with all, training consistency is key.
Right.
It's about patience, repetition, and positive reinforcement.
Speaking of reinforcement, the article mentions that it's best to avoid overly enthusiastic greetings when you return home.
Yes.
Why is that? It seems counterintuitive.
Right.
Shouldn't we be showering them with love after being gone?
It's not about withholding affection.
Okay.
It's about being mindful of the message we're sending.
Right.
If we make a huge fuss every time we come back,
Right.
we're inadvertently reinforcing the idea that our absence is a big deal, something to be stressed about.
So we're actually rewarding their anxiety without even realizing it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
By greeting them calmly and casually,
Uh-huh.
you're saying, hey, I'm back, no big deal. Everything's fine.
Okay.
It helps normalize your comings and goings.
It's about shifting their perspective.
Yeah.
Helping them see those transitions as neutral events
Yeah.
rather than emotional roller coasters.
Exactly. And this applies even if they've been anxious while you were gone.
Okay.
Resist the urge to coddle or immediately soothe them.
Right.
Wait until they've calmed down a bit before engaging.
So no rushing to apologize for leaving or showering them with attention the second you walk in the door.
Right. It's about reinforcing the idea that calm behavior is what gets rewarded.
It's all about those subtle but consistent signals, isn't it?
It is.
Creating a predictable, loving environment where they feel safe and secure even when we're not physically present.
Beautifully said. It's amazing how much we can learn from simply observing our dogs and trying to understand their perspective.
You know, the article concludes with a thought that really resonated with me.
Okay.
It suggests that the key to preventing and managing separation anxiety is helping our dogs achieve a state of balance.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
Balance in this context refers to a state of overall well-being,
Okay.
physical, emotional, and mental.
Right?
It's about providing them with the tools and resources they need to thrive,
Uh-huh.
both in our presence and in our absence.
So it's not just about training them to tolerate being alone.
Correct.
It's about helping them feel truly content and comfortable in their own skin.
Exactly. It's about fostering their confidence, their independence, and their ability to cope with life's inevitable ups and downs.
That's such a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah,
It's about nurturing their whole being, not just addressing a specific behavioral issue,
exactly.
but how do we actually put that into practice?
Right.
Where do we even begin? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we translate this idea of balance into concrete actions? I mean, the article provides a great framework with those 5 rituals.
Right.
But I'm wondering, like, are there other more subtle things that we might be doing that are unintentionally, like, throwing our dogs off balance?
That's such a good point.
Hmm.
And it's often those seemingly harmless everyday interactions
Yeah.
that can make a really big difference. For instance, think about how you greet your dog when you come home.
Oh, you mean all that excited who's a good boy and like showering them with hugs and kisses?
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
I think we're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets interesting. By amping up the excitement around our arrivals and departures, we're inadvertently teaching them that these transitions are a big deal.
So it's like we're accidentally validating their anxiety?
Yes.
By making it seem like our absence is this like major event.
Exactly. And this goes back to the importance of consistency and calmness that the article emphasizes.
Right.
Remember, it's about creating a predictable environment
Right.
where coming and going is just a normal part of the day,
Yeah.
not a cause for celebration or distress.
So what's the alternative? Should we just ignore our dogs when we get home?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's about finding that sweet spot between showing affection and maintaining a calm, matter-of-fact demeanor.
Right.
You can still greet them warmly, but keep it brief, maybe a gentle pat on the head,
Okay.
and then go about your business.
So it's more about a subtle acknowledgement
Yes,
than an over-the-top reunion.
precisely. And the same goes for when you leave.
Right.
No long goodbyes, no lingering at the door,
Okay.
just a quick see you later and a confident exit.
It's like we're teaching them, hey, this is normal. I'll be back. No need to freak out.
Exactly. And these subtle shifts can have a surprisingly big impact on their emotional state.
It's fascinating how much we can learn from just tweaking those little everyday interactions.
It really is. And it's not just about greetings.
Yeah.
Remember those 5 key rituals from the article: walking discipline, socializing, feeding, and play.
Oh, right. The building blocks of a confident, balanced dog.
Exactly. And what's amazing is how these seemingly small things, a consistent walk schedule, a calm feeding routine, designated playtime,
Yeah.
all contribute to that sense of security and predictability that dogs crave.
It's like we're creating this framework for understanding the world, a sense that everything is in its right place.
That's a great way to put it. And that sense of order can be incredibly empowering, especially for dogs prone to anxiety.
Right.
It's like we're equipping them with the tools they need to navigate life with confidence and calmness.
And isn't that the ultimate goal, to help our furry friends live happy, balanced lives?
It is.
Filled with joy and a deep sense of belonging.
Absolutely. And this deep dive has given us so much to think about in terms of how we can achieve that.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in the specific techniques and training tips.
Right.
But I think the biggest takeaway is that it's never too late to learn and grow as dog owners.
I couldn't agree more. Every day is a chance to deepen our understanding of these amazing creatures and strengthen the incredible bond we share with them.
So to our listeners, go observe your own dog. Do they get those crazy excited greetings?
Right.
Do they seem stressed when you leave? Maybe it's time to rethink those cuddles and start incorporating some of these insights from Oh My Dog EDU.
Yeah, totally.
We'll be sure to link to the full article in the show notes. It's definitely worth a read.
Absolutely. And remember, knowledge is power.
Yes.
The more we learn about our dogs, the better equipped we are to give them the happy, fulfilling lives they deserve.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, and keep those tails wagging.